Hey guys, today we are talking about the Briksdal EFX, brand new boot from Crispi 2025. Dive into the details of and all the ingredients on this boot, give you a real detailed overview. My impressions, I have not worn this particular boot. It's brand new, I haven't had a chance to sample it, so all of my opinions today and all of my details are based on both past experience with basically every single boot Crispi makes, as well as my thoughts on the build. So let's dive in and give you the details so you can see if this is the boot for you. The Briksdal line has really gone over a pretty interesting, I'd say, growth and expansion over the number of years. This Briksdal EFX features a lot of different really cool deals. First off, it is a fully leather, waterproof, and non-insulated version of the Briksdal. Couple of things. Water repellent nubuck. Although this leather looks like full grain, it's actually a nubuck with a water repellent finish. I think it makes like a really nice look, but it also creates that kind of out of the factory a little bit better. I think better is probably not the right word. It performs differently than regular nubuck, which you find on the Gaiter or Nevada. The wax nubuck sheds water, I think, better. It also will probably take, I think it's going to take longer, like the Valdez has a similar type leather. It takes longer in between when you're taking care of it as far as adding more of the Crispi waterproofing cream or the Nick wax is what I use sometimes. It's got the lace loop, or this little loop right here on the end, and that on the back of that loop is integral to the Corto and the Alto Crispi, their new trademarked or patented whatever Gaiter, both the short one and this tall one, connects into that guy right there and the one on the inside, so that you don't actually have to have the strap for the Gaiter underneath. I personally ran that system on both the Alto, which is the taller one, and the Corto, which is a shorter one that's more of a really lightweight material. I ran both of those last year, absolutely loved them. I think even if they didn't integrate into the Gaiter, I would still put that Gaiter top 2, maybe top 3 of all the Gaiters I've used from all the various hunting brands on the market. So it not only does it integrate super well with this Briksdal and other models, it stands alone as a really good Gaiter, a really exceptional Gaiter. And I know there's some people out there that think otherwise, but that's my opinion. I'm going to stick to it. Other ingredients here: stretch nylon through the tongue. As in all the Briksdals, you've got a material that comes to right here where the lace loop goes from that asymmetrical in the tongue. So this portion is protected within the bottom of the boot. Stretch nylon up through the remainder of the boot adds additional breathability, gives it kind of that sock type, snug tongue interface with the foot without being uncomfortable. Certainly keeps it from switching back and forth. It's a 9-inch height on the front, 8-inch on the back. You can see the taper right here. The cool thing about that and the benefit of that versus, let's say, for example, this Idaho 3, see how that's got a flat top primarily? The Briksdal does that because this is a boot designed for rugged, really demanding, and it doesn't have to be super demanding. And that's the beauty about this Briksdal line. In the 4Flex, you would think that this isn't going to be ideal. I personally have used a Briksdal in its various iterations in a 4Flex in Alaska on a couple, well, let's see, 3 different hunts in Alaska, and I've used it in Canada. I've used it in all over the western U.S. I recall specifically a Wyoming elk and deer hunt where I was going from just rolling hills and sage to steep climbing through the timber. And this kind of boot, the Briksdal and a 4Flex, is surprisingly versatile in all of those type of situations. But back to why this is angled. When you're climbing up steep hills, that just provides a little bit of relief so that you're not really driving against the back of the Achilles or the back of the calf, the lower calf area, and you get a little bit of movement so the upper leg isn't really as I guess stuck in a boot that has more of a flat top. Probably enough about that, but I just wanted to point out that feature, which I really haven't heard anyone talk about, but it does make a difference in the feel of the boot. The main upgrade to the Briksdal EFX, and really, I mean, this is a from the ground up new boot, but a lot of these other ingredients we've seen in other of the Briksdal models and other Crispi models: asymmetrical lacing, stretch nylon on the tongue, 9-inch height, leather. But the real difference comes from the rand down. So the rand is a different shape and a little bit more coverage. You get a little higher coverage here on the outside, a little higher coverage on the inside. All the rand is, the job of the rand is to protect the leather, particularly in steeper and shale and rocky kind of terrain, so you're not cutting the leather. If your rand gets cut or your rand gets like nipped, don't count that as a factory defect or something that went wrong. Count that as a win, because basically that's your airbag protecting you and your leather from getting hammered from some steep rock, or even something off a deadfall if you're jumping over like God's matchsticks going through the forest. So that rand is a little bit higher. It does have a little bit of a cool, there's no performance difference, but it looks fast and it looks cool and it's kind of sexy. So I'm calling it a win, and that's a really cool design. I like to see Crispi adding some of these design features that maybe don't have performance but really have some look, and gives it just a little bit of like a, wow, that's a good looking boot. From the bottom down, or basically from the bottom of the boot to the bottom of the entire boot, is where the real difference is. Crispi, for the first time, is including, well, the second one, Briksdal Mountain did have this, but the new Briksdal EFX has this EFX midsole. That's where it gets its name. It uses the crossbow framing, which is that particular piece. So if you follow right here, my thumb, I'm looking at a different color in here, up, down, up, and around the back in a different design than you see in the original Crispi crossbow framing, which you'll find in the guide in Nevada. That provides, I think, a better, comfortable, more absorbing performance out of that midsole. And the dual density polyurethane also adds that benefit to creating a situation where, listen, you're not in Air Jordans, you're not on a shot, like shocks and springs like a trampoline, but time and time again, you come to the end of a long, hard day, whether you're packing out or not. I think your feet are much less fatigued in this exact midsole than they would be in any other boot, any other midsole. I think this is one of the highest performing midsoles that I personally have tested across all boot lines. So yeah, high praise from me. If you could feel it, there's some softness to the other areas. And if you do that, just that one piece right there, feeling that, seeing the framing, understanding why it's built the way it's built, that it's not by happenstance, it's a partnership between Vibram and Crispi. This Briksdal EFX midsole and the EFX midsole that's used in the Idaho 3, in the Valdres, and soon to be in other boots, the Briksdal Mountain, it's phenomenal. And I'm telling you, like, if you're a serious mountain hunter and you want a leather, non-insulated boot that's gonna kick tail and basically take names later, this is a remarkable boot. On the bottom, you've got the brand new full control sole. This was introduced in 2024 on the Valdres, and it's now introduced in the Briksdal EFX. The full control differs from the original Crispi claw sole. Excuse me, no, the Mega Grip sole, my bad, is in that it's built with Vibram, but the edges are different. The edges are sharper. The rubber is a little bit deeper. It's gonna add a smidge weight. The Briksdal EFX, speaking of weight, in this size 9, comes in at 1 pound, 13.7 ounces. If you're rocking maybe a 12, you're probably looking closer to maybe just under 2 pounds. So it's still a fairly lightweight boot for what it wants to perform. But back to that full control midsole, it does add a little bit of weight. It does have some sharpness, but I think you're gonna get better edging out of this than you would the prior version of the Briksdal. You're gonna get more life because of a deeper tread, and you're gonna get a little bit sharper edges for grip throughout, whatever type of terrain you're in. If you'll notice, the chevron shaped lugs on one side are opposite from the other side. This is built specifically so that as you're going downhill, you're getting traction and stopping power as you're going uphill, and you're leaning into that inside, which is typically what we do when we're going uphill. You're getting grip from that inside. So really well thought out, and the guys at Crispi in conjunction with Vibram are just, they're not skipping a beat. If you're looking for a boot in a 4 flex, or you're a bigger guy that 4 flex feels like a 3 flex because of everyone else, and you're just adding more, you've got a little more oomph and you've got a little bit more strength to that, the non-insulated Briksdal EFX should be on your radar if you're a serious mountain hunter. Everything from elk to deer to, I would stand this up against anything in sheep and goat country. Having personally done those hunts, I wouldn't hesitate to grab this boot on those particular style of hunts. And as far as caring for the boot, Crispi cream or a water-based cream like the Nick Wax are the only things I would ever put on this Crispi leather. If you guys have any questions about this, brand new Briksdal EFX. Hit us up at blackovis.com. Check us out online. Hit us on chat. Call one of our gear guides. Honestly, I think this boot is worth a look, and appreciate you checking in, and we'll see you soon.